Hey, Winos! Julie and I had the honor of doing a live session of Whine with HR at NOHRC 2026 at the end of March. Oh, to all of our new NOHRC friends, hello, welcome!
Hey!
During that discussion, we talked about burnout and isolation rates amongst HR professionals and some of the things that HR professionals can do to combat burnout and isolation.
The main thing we discussed is that you can't go it alone. You have to find your people, your community, your family. We decided that we wanted to focus on that a little bit more. So in the next 2 episodes, we are going to discuss how to build your own HR community or family. Because after all, if you do it right, that's what all those people become, right? So in light of that, our theme song for the next 2 episodes is We are family. I got all my sisters with me. Yeah! But first, the wine. So, Trish, what are you drinking?
You're gonna laugh. So I'm like, wow, it's spring, or at least it's supposed to be. So I'm thinking of graduation parties and weddings and picnics and all of these wonderful things. So I decided to start talking about some boxed wine again.
Ooh, yay!
You know me and my boxed wine. This is one I don't think I have done before, though. You guys know that I feel like for boxed wine, Boda Box is the way to go. And they have a series called Nighthawk. And so I decided to try their Malbec. What is my problem? So their description is, it unfolds like a mysterious adventure. This rich red's luscious mouthfeel bursts with jammy blueberry and ripe blackberry notes. Then it is smooth. And whoa, what does that say? I can't read. I need more glasses. And it finishes subtly signs.
Not more glasses of wine. Or maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. It might make it easier. That might be the problem. Try this again. Then it's smooth finish subtly signs off with a whisper of spice. Bring this best kept secret along when you want to share a hidden gem with your inner circle. So again, one of the other reasons I chose this one for these episodes, because I was like, oh my God, that's so perfect. So it is definitely jammy. So I would say out of all of theirs, this one has not been, in my first couple of sips, not my favorite so far. And I've said some really good things about some of their others, but this one is just a little too jammy for me. I think though, if you like a sweeter red, that this would probably work out very well for you. You know me, I do prefer something with a little more, I do like the blackberry blueberry, but something that has maybe a little more of more spice, more vanilla, that usually hits my palate a little bit better. But again, a phenomenal choice for boxed wine for any party. Highly would recommend for that.
It sounds like it would make a very good sangria.
Yes, 100% hands down. Agreed.
There you go. You're going to have to try to make some sangria with it and report back.
I will definitely do that. I will take that task. So, Julie, I'm going to try the sangria, but let's talk about what you are drinking today.
So I thought that I would spice it up, no pun intended, after what you were just saying, a little bit this week. So I'm drinking a rosé because I'm trying to will spring to just come and stay, but it's not working. I mean, it's like 30 degrees here, so it's gross. But so I am drinking a rosé from Chile.
Ooh,
yeah.
What?
It's called Natura. And it is made with organic grapes. It's sustainably farmed, so I liked that about it. There really is not much of a description, so I don't have much to tell you. But it's vegan, it's certified B, organic. So all sorts of good stuff going on with the wine, and it's got a beautiful color. I
Oh,
don't
it
like,
does.
yeah,
Oh,
I don't
and it
like,
looks lovely in that wine glass.
right, with my
Oh,
initial on it. Yeah.
yes.
You
Everybody
can find
knows
that
wine
on
glasses.
Amazon. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
with our link. You can find it on Instagram or our link tree. But I don't love rosés. I don't typically love rosés that are like really more on the red side, because to me that tells me they're going to be pretty fruity. So this one is not. It's a beautiful blush color. And I would say I really like it. It's not overpowering in any way, but everything comes together with just this very nice, subtle flavor. So you can definitely taste like a little bit of strawberry, but it's not overly fruity for a rosé. It's a dry rosé. So far, I really, really like this one. So Chile has not let me down, because that was one of my favorite Sauvignon Blancs too, if y'all remember, Route 1.
So good.
Okay, so now let's get into the WHINE of the episode. So, Trish, over to you.
Well, before we do that, I do want to tell people there's a couple reasons why we're breaking this episode down into two different sets other than what Julie's already told you. And really it's because we love you all and we know that you have crazy busy lives and we want to respect your time. And so we decided that if we broke this one down into two shorter episodes, that it might be easier for you to get a listen in when you're driving to work or when you're on lunch or something like that. So let us know what you think about the shorter episode format. And now I'm ready for my stats.
Yay! Stat
time! So these are actually quite depressing after all of that. 95% of HR leaders find working in HR to be overwhelming due to excessive workload and stress. And 84% of HR leaders frequently experience stress, with 81% of those reporting feeling burnt out. Now, remember, when we're talking about burnout, that's a state of chronic stress that leads to physical and emotional exhaustion. None of y'all know anything about that, right?
No.
No. And then just one more, nearly half, so about 48% of US HR professionals surveyed in 2025 did consider leaving our field. And again, it was driven by this intense burnout, emotional tolls, and mounting workplace toxicity. So we will obviously, as always, share the links to the articles where we found those stats in our show notes.
Yeah, so you might be wondering, why do HR leaders feel this way? Well, we've also got a few stats on that as well. So 73% of HR leaders say their organization prioritizes processes over people, which seems diametrically opposed to what is supposed to be the human-centric mission of HR. So that can lead to a focus on administrative duties and compliance activities versus actually, being able to do the people work that you probably went into HR to do. So that is, again, we're talking like 73%, 95%, 81%, 84%. Like those are huge numbers. So I guess the message, maybe tell your bosses to listen to this podcast so they understand that HR is not okay. Like we need care and comfort too.
Yes, we do. Jules, do you want to talk about our superpowers as HR people too? And then I'm going to talk a little more about burnout, I think.
Sure. Well, and I love how you always flip that to superpowers. But the skills that HR professionals have to use on a daily basis, compassion, empathy, all of your emotional intelligence, all of those things that we typically refer to as soft skills. Trisha calls them superpowers, which I think is brilliant. I've heard somebody refer to them as power skills, which I also love because not everybody has them, and not everybody who has them uses them. So But in HR, we have to use them a lot. And there is something called, this is in one of the articles that, again, we will put the links to in the show notes, but there's something called compassion fatigue, which is the cumulative toll of absorbing others' suffering until empathy begins to erode. And I know when I was reading that, I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah.
You are an emotional support person.
Well, yes, yes. I even have a hat. So yeah, I think that that is a really real thing that people in HR experience more than other roles. And that also goes unnoticed because, as we'll talk about later, I think everybody just kind of assumes that, hey, this is what HR does. So they're good at it. And so it doesn't affect them. I don't think a lot of people see the impact that the work of HR has on the people who do that work.
For sure. I mean, it's like you said, our power skills, our superpowers, most of us in HR come by those naturally. They're innate to us. They can be taught to others, but they're maybe not going to be as good at it or able to do it as long lasting. But because of that, people just assume that HR can take on anything. They can handle it. And then you get that compassion fatigue, or I'm going to call it burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to talk to everyone about burnout. Top drivers. Toxic workplace behavior. Nobody has anything like that in their workplaces, I'm sure. How about role ambiguity? We always say like, oh, you want to be a kitchen sinker? Go into HR because everything and anything will get thrown at you. Conflicts within the role. Maybe certain tasks that are assigned don't really mesh up and it causes you to struggle or maybe have performance issues. Interpersonal conflict, again, conflicts that you may have, conflicts that you're dealing with for others. And then in general, just work pressures. Here you are trying to get the seat at the table, as everybody calls it, and you're focusing on oh, whoops, someone laying on your couch like you're a therapist. And again, we want everybody to be compassionate and listen. But what I need you to understand, what Julie and I need you to understand, is that this does take a toll on you. You need to take a break. You need to connect with people. You need to refill that bucket, because if you don't, you basically aren't going to be able to.
Right. And we're going to turn to talking about some of the impacts that all of this chronic stress has on you physically. But basically, what Trisha was just talking about is all of the things that we talk about employees needing, you guys need in HR. Like, you also need to feel seen, valued, appreciated, and heard. And when that's not happening, that's when this burnout starts to happen, or this chronic stress starts to build up. So, Trish, tell us a little bit about what that chronic stress does to the body.
So I discovered something right before NOHRC as I was sitting there reading all of this, and I was like, how do I remember it? A-E-I-O-U. It's our vowels. So I'm trying to create a little bit of fun in something that really has a serious impact on your body. So the A is a suppressed immune system. E, your heart rate will be elevated. I, increased blood pressure. The O is oxygen shifts from the brain to the muscles, because that is our flight or fright response, right? And so I don't know about y'all, but I need all the oxygen I can get to my brain, especially at 50 plus these days. And then the U is a significantly slowed digestion. So what I came up with for the U, uncomfortable tummy.
Yeah.
Right?
I like it. I like it. And of course, all of that long-term stress is a leading cause of chronic illness. So we go through all of this just to kind of build this foundation when we're talking about how you can't go it alone. Because if you try to go it alone, then this stuff it doesn't have anywhere to release. So
That's
that's
actually a really good way to put it.
yeah, yeah. So that's why we're going to now sort of shift into talking about how you can find people to help give you that release. So, Trish, back over to you.
Sweet. In this first part then, because again, we said we're doing this in two parts. So we're going to talk about finding your family within your organization, because honestly, you spend most of your time with the people that you work with. So you're going to need to find people that you are, well, comfortable venting to, people that you can bounce ideas off of and then problem solve. And guess what? Just people that you could go to lunch with, go for a walk, anything like that. And guess what? They may not be the same people for different things.
Right. Yeah. You can have different people who serve different purposes for sure. Yeah.
We do.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But I know some of you may be thinking like, well, how do I do this? Because I'm in HR. And a lot of times in HR, we think that we have to isolate ourselves on some level professionally because we have to kind of keep some boundaries because we hold all this confidential information and we want people to feel comfortable coming to us with stuff, so we can't be seen like we're always out there talking to everybody and we know everybody and we're like super cozy with everybody in the office. So that can be a really hard line to walk for a lot of people. Because you do want people to trust that you will maintain their confidentiality, but you also need to be able to have those people that you can go to. Now, it doesn't have to be a ton of people. You really only need one or two. And I know I saw a study, I couldn't find it again today, but I know I saw a study that said if you have even one like work bestie, you're engaged,
saw that.
right?
Yes.
So maybe we talked about it on a prior episode.
We did.
But anyway, like it said, like as long as you have one person that, you know, if you have one bestie at work, then that makes going to work so much easier. It relieves a lot of that stress. It keeps you more engaged. It helps you like look forward to work, all of those sorts of things. So we're not saying you got to be friends with everybody. We just need you to find a select few. But who should those people be? And who should they not be? Perhaps the more important question.
I would definitely agree with that. So for who should they be, how about others at the same level as you within your organization, and or those who maybe tend to deal with the same frustrations. So those people who maybe don't seem to need HR, or about whom employees don't seem to complain. I think that might be a really good place to start.
Well, yeah. And the reason we give that caveat is because you don't want somebody who then is going to end up in your office because you got a complaint about them, or, you know, like you don't want to be confiding in that person. Right. So you need
the person that everybody says is a super jerk and treats them terribly.
Right.
And
right. Or who can't keep a secret to save their lives. You know, like you do need to vet the people that you're thinking about, you know, choosing to be part of your work family. So certainly, but picking somebody at your same level, they're more likely to have some of the same frustrations, to better understand the kind of obstacles you're dealing with, like all that kind of stuff, I think is really important. People within your department. Now, all of these come with caveats, but if you choose somebody who is one of your direct reports, and although we would say normally we would not recommend that you do that, the simple fact of the matter is you might be in an apartment where there's only two of you. And who else is going to best know what you're going through than somebody else in HR, right? So chances are, as long as you like that person and you get along with them, you're going to get pretty close. They're going to be part of that inner circle. So if it is somebody who reports to you, you just have to keep in mind that there are certain things you can never tell them. You have to know up front what those things are and where the boundary is. And number two, you need to be very clear with them. And this probably goes for all the categories we're going to talk about, but particularly with your direct reports, you need to be very clear when you are telling them something confidential. So don't assume that they know they cannot talk about whatever you just said to somebody else. So if you are telling them something that the owner said to you that frustrated you, you need to preface that with, this stays between us. This doesn't leave the room. This doesn't, just get used to repeating that, because again, do not make assumptions that people know what they are supposed to keep quiet.
Jules, speaking of owners, they actually could be someone else that you could connect with, or someone at that C-suite level. Again, if you're talking to ownership or even the C-suite, you do want to be careful about criticizing the company. You want to be careful about putting an idea in their head about a particular person. But you can speak in generalities. I think that would be my key here, is just, there's some things going on. I really wanted to talk to you about it, and think of it more as a strategy session. Maybe you go for a power walk and strategize. Again, this will work with some people and not for some others. And I can see people going, yeah, my owner would never go for that. And so fine, but maybe then that's where you focus on the C-suite level. Someone that you trust, someone that you think has the best interest of the company in mind, as well as, of course, your employees. And then again, as Julie already mentioned, you're going to want to talk to them about, hey, I'm going to speak in generalities, but because I trust you, I wanted to share this with you, get your ideas, get your thoughts. But even though I am speaking in generalities, this needs to stay between us.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, for an owner, it can be pretty lonely too. Also, for people in the C-suite, they don't have many people they can talk to either. So sometimes it's really nice for them to have that same. So you're kind of sharing a common challenge in that there's not a lot of people you can talk to because of what your position is in the company. So sometimes that can be a nice release for both people. But again, you just have to be careful, because I can also say, as a business owner, I can get defensive when somebody criticizes something about my business. It's just normal,
Right,
so
for sure.
you always have to remember that, and you're going to have to employ some of your superpower skills to phrase things in a way that isn't going to, get their hackles up. But Trisha, I wanted to just re-emphasize something you said, because the idea of, and sometimes you do this unintentionally, but I have seen it happen, like putting an idea about a particular person in an owner or a leader's head.
That
I have seen that.
always.
Yes.
Yes.
I have seen that happen so much. And sometimes it's just because they're venting about someone. But you got to remember, owners and C-suite, they probably don't know half those people. And so if they hear this one bad thing from somebody they trust, it can really taint the whole,
Absolutely. Everything that they hear, see, or do is then going to be viewed from that skewed perspective that you inadvertently gave them. You're 100% right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think, it's very, to relate it to something else family related, it's kind of like when you're venting about your spouse to a good friend and you're like, crap, don't hold this against them for the rest of their lives, because I'm just venting. Today I'm mad. Tomorrow I might not be. I don't know, but that can be really challenging too. So just to put it in family terms, since we're talking about families, it's kind of the same concept. You do
Absolutely,
have to be
100%.
careful. So,
Absolutely.
so one of my other tips is to get a therapist.
Heck yeah.
So this is not technically within your organization, but if you have EAP services or your health insurance, it's covered under that, you might be able to find some help there. But I always say that I think we each should be assigned a therapist at birth, because
Oh my gosh, I love that. How have I
life,
never? That's amazing.
life is going to screw you up,
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. So,
Yeah.
like, we should all just have somebody who's assigned to help us through all of that. So, I love therapy. I think it's fantastic. Been through many times in my life where I've had a therapist. Am currently in the market if anybody knows a good one.
No
Just
kidding.
in Cleveland, just
Aren't we all
thanks,
in the market
right?
right now?
But the beauty of a therapist is, number one, you're paying them, so they have to listen to you. Number two, they are probably more objective. They're not your spouse, so they're not going to get tired of listening to you complain about the same person over and over again, or the same thing over and over again, and I think it's just, they can oftentimes give you a different perspective, which can be super helpful, or at least help you like take all of those feelings, all that chronic stress and all of the buildup that is occurring, and find ways to let it release.
Well, and I think that's it. Just talking about it is such a release, and being able to know that this is going to be kept confidential, and that you can just, oh, that person drives me crazy. Even if you do on a normal day really love them, sometimes they still drive you crazy. Yep. And so, yeah, I'm 110% in agreement with you on the therapist idea. And I think that, we have done so much better beginning to talk about therapy and getting help, and realizing that, look, we all need help. It's no different than going to the doctor if you have a sprained ankle or something like that. Sometimes our brains are sprained, sometimes our hearts are sprained or broken, and therapy is amazing for that.
Yep.
I will, however, start talking about some caveats. And we've thrown some in there as we've gone, but please be mindful that there is a potential for a conflict of interest to arise at some point. So just as an example, someone that you become close with does something that lands them in hot water. Like Julie and I said, hey, find someone that people don't normally seem to complain about. But you know what? People are not infallible, right? We're definitely fallible creatures. And so, like, what are you going to do? How is that going to operate? I always, it's that kind of think about what could happen and be prepared. And I hate to say that because it sounds like think of the end of a relationship, and that's not what we're saying, but just be mindful of it as you're having conversations, I guess is the way to say it.
Yeah. So it's not a reason to not choose a person as part of your inner circle. But to your point, you just have to be prepared for the fact that if something happens down the line, how are you going to deal with it? And sometimes
how are they going to deal with it?
And how are they going to deal with it? And again, we always say have a conversation. So, my go-to would be to sit that person down and go like, okay, you know what? We got to complain about you. We have to investigate it. I'm going to take myself out of it because you and I are really close. And I don't want anyone to think that I am doing anything untoward in this process. So we want this to be as, fair and impartial as possible. So I think the best way to do that is to remove myself, but I'm not going to talk to you about this because that's not going to help anything,
Yep.
But I'm still your friend,
Yep.
Whatever. But like, you can do that. I think one of
that's
the
a
things,
sign of a good investigator.
right?
Period.
Yeah. Well, and I think, one of the unfortunate things about my former profession getting so involved in all of these sorts of issues in companies is that we told everybody in HR, you got to be robotic. You can't have feelings. You can't have friends. You can't have this. You can't do that. And that's just not the way that life works.
You
And
took the human out of human resources, Jules.
We did. Well, I'm single-handedly trying to put it back.
Yeah. Woohoo!
So, again, just kind of proceed with caution. But also, once you find your people, find meaningful and consistent ways to keep connecting with them. So, Trisha's mentioned a few things, but like, set up a routine coffee meeting or a weekly walk, or go to lunch once a month, or, have a glass of wine once, I was going to say week, but maybe that's excessive. not in my
Not
world.
for us.
But whatever it is, whatever works for you and that person in that relationship, just make sure that you're taking time to connect routinely, so you know what's going on in their life, they know what's going on in your life, and you can try to catch some of these things before they really build up and do the kind of damage that we talked about at the beginning of the episode.
I think that is fantastic advice. The only thing I think I would add to our discussion for part 1 is, if you are not comfortable, and we're not telling you to get out there and talk about HR stuff, all we're telling you is make a connection. So please understand exactly what we're talking about here. Like, there may be some things, again, like we said, you could make them very generic in your conversations, but like, the important part is the connection, not the connection and talking about work. Maybe that's the best idea completely, is just to say, we're not going to discuss work. Let's focus on life outside of work. Let's focus on all of, anything and everything but. So that could be a good way to de-stress.
I like that. I like it. Okay. Well, on that note, Trish, how you've had a couple more sips of your wine. Any changes?
I'm super excited about your idea of adding a little fruit and some yumminess. So yeah, I will tell you more about that as I, get through this box. It'll take a while.
Yeah. You're like, oh my God, I have a whole box of it. So yeah, I got to figure out something to do with it, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Thank goodness we have friends, right?
Right, exactly. And spring is coming sometime,
Yes.
someday. I am still loving my wine, so big props to this Natura. I will have to send you a picture, Trish, because I know
Please
you would
do.
love it.
I love Chilean wines. Yeah.
Yes, and it has I don't actually know what this is, but now I'm going to have to go check it out because I just noticed it. So on the top, it says 1% for the planet member. So I'm going to have to check out what that means. So when I find out more, I'll come back and report.
Awesome. I love it.
Okay, well, thank you all for joining us for part 1. In part 2 of We Are Family, we are going to talk about how to build your family outside of your workplace. So please make sure you tune in and join us for that. And as you know, we consider all of you part of our family. So you can always reach out to us at Whine at monarchendeavorsllc.com. We are always taking wine recommendations and ideas for topics on the show. So please reach out, or just, give us a friendly wave and a hello. We would love to see you on our socials or in our email box, or, at an event perhaps. So yay. Looking forward to talking with you all again soon. Cheers.
Cheers.